Hello everyone, Cameron Blewett here, veganpolice.com.au. Now this one is a question response type of thing to Eisel Mazard. He put a video clip out a couple of days ago now that's titled "The Definition of Veganism is Deeply Flawed and Still Debated." Now obviously, most of the discussion involved in that happens on his Patreon account, and most of that's obviously behind a paywall. So unless you're a Patreon of his, that you can't get involved in that discussion. Now, make it clear, I am. For me, $1 a month, big deal. Actually, exchange rate, I think it's $1.30 or $1.20 a month. But anyway, that's beside the point. Now, I've had a discussion with him and tried to point out to him that the definition of veganism is not debated and it's not flawed. And for those who came in late, just want to clarify that the definition that I'm thinking of and that most people follow and agree with is the one that was put out by the Vegan Society in 1979. Now I'm reading it here off their website, and it says a philosophy and way of living which seeks to exclude, as far as is possible and practicable, all forms of exploitation of and cruelty to animals for food, clothing, or any other purpose, and by extension promotes the development and use of animal-free alternatives for the benefit of humans, animals, and the environment. In dietary terms, it denotes the practice of dispensing with all products derived wholly or partly from animals. Now, whether you use that version or Donald Watson's versions, which is a little bit more condensed than that, the definition isn't flawed. How is it flawed? It says as possible and practicable. Now, this is where it comes into a little bit of a challenge, and people, do leave themselves open for criticism about that, and using the wonderful person to talk about. Let's talk about Tobias. He's the quote unquote vegan strategist. His view is that wine is a grey area, so he doesn't look at that. Bread is a grey area for him, so he doesn't look at the items in that. And there are a couple of other ones that I can't remember what it was, but there's like 3 or 4 items where he doesn't look at things, and he even admits he's not too, he would say, too obsessed with looking at the ingredients on that. So, in using Tobias's case, if he goes out somewhere, has a bottle of wine, before he consumes that bottle of wine, has a look at the ingredients, or if he doesn't know, Barnivore, it's on most people's smartphones. You can have a look on there and decide. They'll go through and tell you which wines are suitable for vegans and which ones aren't. Now that, if he knowingly consumes a wine that has animal products in it, so that's been used with isinglass or dairy or eggs or something like that, then you could argue that he's not following the vegan, this whole vegan definition, because it is possible and practical for him not to consume that bottle of wine. So that's the thing. You do have to question that way. One of his other gotchas that he likes to use, Granny's cupcakes. You could argue that, hey, it is possible and it is practicable for you to turn around and say, thanks, Nan. No, they've got eggs in them. I'm going to do it. You do it respectfully and in a way that, you're dealing with family. So anyway, so this is the thing. So, and the other part, possible and practicable, is how about those who live in, genuine food deserts in the US? And thankfully in Australia, there's not that. I don't think there is. There may be, so I'm not going to say there's not any, because I don't know what's going up in the far north or way out west, in various states and all that sort of stuff. So, but I mean, if you're in a food desert, you don't want to live on rice and beans, even though some from the abolitionist approach will say, "Hey, yes, I'd live on that," or "I'd live on tomato sandwiches all the time." Well, it's not possible or practical to do that. So, but this is the thing, that definition has given you a way of becoming vegan and staying vegan as long as it's possible and practical. Up until recently, there were no steel cap boots that apart from Dunlop volleys, that were like a really bad sand shoe. most of them came out in leather. So if part of your job requirement was that you had to wear steel cap boots to Australian standard, or safety shoes, because I think some of them have toughened aluminium or something like that. But if you have, safety shoes that are to the Australian standards, then at some point in time you had to wear leather. But this is the thing, there is. I won't say it gives you an out. I mean, the definition gives you some sort of point where it is, it's something that's accepted. And for those who turn around and say, well, if I had to wear leather boots, I'd go and get another job. Well, get your head out of your kaiba. That's not entirely possible for everyone. So the other part, where is it's flawed and hotly debated? Well, it's only debated by those who want to change it. We know Tobias wants to change the definition of veganism, so that's why he has the debates about it. Now, in the comments that I did make in response to this video from Eisel, he has turned around and given the Canadian guy, I'm not going to try and pronounce his name, Francione's abolitionist approach, and even his own, wildlife management approach. Now, and what I've said is that they are not veganism. What they are is how you view other animals afterwards. Francione's approach is that other animals have one right, and that is the right not to be property. Everything else after that should be given with equal consideration. This Will Kimlicka, I think, my apologies if I pronounced it wrong, he has a citizenship thing. For me, that smacks of someone that wants to keep chickens and eat the eggs, or someone that follows more of a utilitarian side of you. And Eisel's approach, that's got nothing to do with veganism. That's how you deal with other animals. So in suburbia, urban areas, and all that sort of stuff. So veganism itself, the definition, the philosophy of it, is not being debated. It is not flawed. Where are the flaws in it? If you're looking for flaws, well, then you really don't understand what the whole philosophy and concept of veganism is about. If you think it's up for debate, go for it. But you'll find that those who are those who are debating it are the ones who want to change it. You have a look at all the anti-vegans, like, the two joys. They want to change the definition. We know Tobias does. Everyone else, reducitarians or the X%ers, they all want to be classed as vegan. It's all about, frequency and intent and all that sort of crap. So, but this is the thing. When it comes down to it, the philosophy and definition of veganism is not being debated, and it's not flawed. If you're looking for flaws in it, maybe you don't understand what it is that veganism stands for, what it's trying to do, and how you can be vegan. So, anyway, that's it. Thumbs up, thumbs down, all that good sort of stuff. I may turn comments off on this one, so if you do want to comment, hey, you need to head on over to veganpolice.com.au. Now, I will include a link down below for the page where this clip is, so then you can add comments and all that sort of stuff below. So anyway, thanks for watching, and remember, don't fear the vegan police, we're here to help.